to a world where big data beats your worries. A world that gives you priority when innovations come. This is the GigaLife on Smart Signature. Simplified by the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. The choice is simple. Move up to Smart Signature and make your mark. How do I know it's meant to be? Simple, smart ako.
So magandang gabi mga teammates, mga tropa, lahat ng mga co-coaches natin. Ito po ang inyong Milko Sports Basketball God Skills Philippines. Your God Skills weekly updates, konting chismisan, konting kwentuhan with our fellow coaches here sa inyong God Skills Basketball channel. Ako po si Coach Martin Antonio, of course kasama natin ang team dad ng God Skills Basketball Philippines, Coach Alan Ricardo, and of course our morning partner, also a basketball coach, Coach JM Pelares. Gentlemen, magandang gabi sa inyong dalawa at mamaya may makakasama tayong special guest. Coaches, good evening.
Good evening, coaches. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening, coaches. Good evening, Coach Hammer. Good evening, Coach.
Ganda ng suot mo, Coach Alan. Di mo kami binigyan ng memo na dapat nakakulay pula pala tayo ngayong gabi. Pero tabayanan ninyo, of course, dito sa God Skills Weekly, we want to reach out to everyone. Please do share our link. The link is on the screen. As you are watching, share it to your fellow coaches. Share ninyo sa inyong mga teammates, sa inyong mga tropa dahil meron tayong mga konting kwentuhan dito para general information about what's happening throughout basketball in the landscape. Right now, andito ako ngayon sa Calamba, Laguna. As you all know, nandito ako sa sa Inspire Sports Facility sa NU Calamba. Napakagandang facility which is also handled by Coach JM. This is such a very good experience. Chooks to Go Pilipinas 3x3 first pro 3-on-3 tournament dito sa ating bansa. Of course, the PBA is ongoing. The UAAP NCAA naglabas na ang shed ng mga konting mandates. If I'm not mistaken, coaches, if you're in the loop, naglabas nila ng konting mga guidelines for the bubble. Inantay pa ang thumbs up ng IATF. And of course, Olympic qualifiers will be on November. At itong MPBL naman was announced by the Games and Amusement Board as a pro league. So, hihipayin natin, unti-unti, uunahin na natin kung nasan ako dahil nandito ang boss ko, ang aking partner, or head of marketing, ang aking roommate, of course, Mark Zambrano, enjoying his dinner. And, of course, 3x3 opportunity para sa atin na makapag-Olympics yan ang goal natin dito. Kaya naman ang Chooks to Go Pilipinas and all the team owners naging bahagi ng kauna-unahang Pro 3-on-3 tournament dito sa ating bansa. So coaches, maganda ang inilalaro dito ngayon, and of course we have 12 teams participating, and each tournament garners us points. Again, this is sanctioned by the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, of course our friends there from the SBP. Nakakatulong sa atin na papunta sa ating gold medal dreams, compete at an Olympic level. So coaches, what do you think about the 3x3, lalong-lalo na it's a pro league right now?
Ako, personally, I'm really excited whenever I watch. To be honest, this is the first time that I've really watched extensively. Every leg, I really watch it. And what I see is really the parity in the league, which only shows na in terms of having a chance to win in a basketball game, I really believe instead of the 5 versus 5, the regular basketball game, in terms of getting a medal or qualifying, I think it will happen here in 3x3. Kasi as I saw during the previous legs, of course, we have the team of Zamboanga as really the dark horse. But they have been beaten by other teams. In other legs, I think they did not even finish in the top 3. I think they finished 6th.
Leg number 3. Yes,
yeah, which shows that in the world stage, let's say, ano na talaga, Olympics or qualifier, may chamba talaga.
Mhm.
Kasi mabilis
May
lang
tulong.
Mabilis, it's a 10-minute game or first to 21, kayang-kaya mo talunin eh. Compared to a 40-minute 5 versus 5 game, mas mahirap. So it's really exciting and I'm happy that Chooks to Go was able to pull this off.
And of course, our hats off to our bosses. Of course, Boss Ronald Mascareñas, Sir Ernest of the Globe Telecom also being a partner of the league. And of course, Boss Hansi and all the fine people here in Enyo Calabag. So kikiti mo, Coach JM, ha? Ang ganda ng facilities dito. Ang sarap
you.
mag-host ng mga bubble. Coach Allen, ikaw, pagdating sa 3x3, sabi ni Coach JM, may tulog to sa ating mga Pilipino kasi ang bilis ng laro, 10 minuto lang, tapos tayo nag-e-ensayo talaga, tsaka bawat kanto. Diyan na sa may samat, merong 3-on-3 na court, sa may paltok, merong 3-on-3 court. Ano tingin mo, meron ba tayong pag-asa dito? Meron ba tayong chance to compete at a world level?
Well, alam mo, Coach Hammer, yung 3-on-3 na yan. Maliit pa lang tayo, nandiyan na yan eh.
Mhm.
Di ba? So, ano na yan eh. Very common na yan dito sa Pinas. But bago ko ituloy ito, hats off ako kay Coach Eric Altamirano tsaka kay Boss Ronald. And also, your partner, Sir Mark Zambrano.
Busog nga ako dito eh. Hindi ko na mapakita kumakain kasi nakapunan eh. Kagigising lang. Ngayon lang kami nagkaroon ng off day eh. And, go Coach Allen.
Well, sa akin, on the technical side, you know, ang laking bagay kasi yung nadudulot niyang 3-on-3 na yan eh.
Mhm.
So, ako, for me, mostly yung breakdown eh. You know, impusa natin on the offensive scheme, yung how a particular player, especially with the ball, di ba? Yung one-on-one move niya, yung beginning move niya, paano siya magbasa, di ba? With, what do you call this? On-ball defender, you know? And then at the same time, yung other guys naman, you know, nakakapag-space out sila. Alam nila kung saan sila lulugar, you know? Handoff ba sila? Stay ba sila sa corner? Will they set a screen, flare screen, you know? Will they decide ba sa ball screen, you know? A roll and then a lift dito sa opposite side. So, you know, once na in-incorporate natin yan, going to the 5-on-5, you know, mas nagkakaroon tayo ng edge, you know. But at the same time, you know, height is height, 'di ba? Yan naman yung ano natin mga Pinoy, 'di ba? Kulang tayo sa height. But I think because of the 3x3, tumatalas tayo do sa dribble drive, and at the same time yung mga skip, yung mga 3-point shooting natin, ang laki na i-improve, kaya ang taas na rin ng level natin sa international.
Well, of course, thank you Coach Allen. Ang ganda nung pinoint out mo. The breakdowns on offense, on defense. Pero ako, syempre, tumatalas yung siko ng mga player kasi sobrang physical ng 3x3. Bagay na bagay sa ating mga Pilipino. Very physical game. Sanay tayo dito eh. At saka ang kagandahan, dahil naging pro na yung 3x3 ngayon dito with of course, the support of the father of the 3x3 program natin si Boss Ronald Mascareñas. Dito, naging Pro League, money game. Ganyan naman kasi maglaro mga Pilipino eh. Laging may pustahan. Pagkapustahan, pakbakan. Simple. And our national team has their hands full. Troy Reich, Sati Satillan, si Alvin Pasaol, which is the epitome of Filipino 3-on-3. At saka itong si Joshua Munzon, who I think should be considered as one of the top 3 picks if in the near future he applies for the PBA draft. Ang galing, ang swabe gumalaw. Pero ibang-iba yung laro ng tatluhan eh. Ang kagandahan nga nito, coaches, magandang ma-integrate yung FIBA rules. Kasi ito yung pagkakataon natin na makalaro on an international stage. Pag na-integrate yung FIBA rules sa mga summer leagues, sa mga inter-barangay, inter-purok, inter-street, fiesta leagues, laking bagay niyan. Kasi kung yung mga bata masasanay na pagka-rebound, quick kick out, 10-minute game, every weekend may liga tayo dito. Kailangan masabi natin kay chairman yan, 12 team. O, di ba? Sabado, kids, tsaka midget. Linggo, senior, tsaka junior. Pero, alam niyo naman sa Pilipinas, walang natapos na liga. Either naubusan ng oras o may nagkagulo. God skills lang yung natatapos na liga. Tama ba ako, challenge? So anyway, maraming salamat. Of course, I'm being housed here in the Kalab Bubble. And my thanks and my love to all of the guys and the players participating here in the 3x3, and of course the management, Coach Eric Altamirano, Boss Ronald Mascareñas, and all of the team here sa Kalab Bubble. Moving on, lipat tayo ngayon sa Pro League sa PBA naman dahil pay for play tayo sa Chooks to Go 3x3. Lipat tayo sa PBA. The Beast, Calvin Abueva, pinakawalan na. First game back, best player of the game. Gigil na gigil? Tama ba, Coaches? Gigil na gigil?
Yes.
Ako, controlled na gigil. Of course, he has been out for 16 months. Ibang usapan din yon, but the way siguro he was really getting ready psychologically to start playing, and it really showed, di ba? Kumbaga, yes, may gigil, pero I think it was controlled. That's why he was able to perform well. He had monster stats. They won the game, and he was the best player of the game. So congratulations to Calvin Abueva, and be a good boy now, ha? Be a good boy.
Parang principal ng Ateneo yung be a good boy eh. Parang prefect of discipline. Ito, tinisa yung kasama ko dito eh. Mula grade school, high school eh. No, parang prefect, no? Anyway, going to Coach Allen. Of course, Calvin Abueva making a statement. Pero how is it for Coach Topex Robinson? He bared his emotions. This coach I played for in the amateurs. Very good leader, really vocal players coach, and he really bared his heart out. He wanted this guy to play, and then of course the Games and Amusement Board by Boss Baha Mitra and the crew issuing him a license in a timely fashion. They get to win. Coach Allen, ano ang magiging tulong nito ngayon sa Phoenix?
Well, still remember, I guess parang 3 weeks ago, di ba? Sa akin muna, Abueva is Abueva, given na yan. You know, during his San Sebastian days, until now, kung anong energy na binibigay niya, you know, previously when he was playing at college basketball, ganun pa rin eh. You know, matagal na rin sila magkasama ni Coach Topex, so definitely alam na ni Calvin yung gusto ni Coach Topex. Siguro nakapag-usap na rin sila with regards kasi in terms of physicality. Si Coach Topex kasi ayaw niya yung mga ayaw niya yung mga second motion. Gusto niya. Oh. Exactly. Gusto niya lang yung lumaro lang tayo, 'di ba? Lumaro lang tayo ng tama. Walang extra commotion na mangyari. Sabi ko nga sa iyo, yung what do you call this? Yung Phoenix parang Miami Heat 'yan. 'Di ba? Sino ba si Matthew Wright? Si 'di ba? Si what do you call this? Hero. Oh, 'di ba? Oh. 'Di ba? Sino ba si Calvin?
Yung Butler.
Pwede. 'Di ba? So, tingin ko aabot yung Phoenix sa sa
Final Four.
Semifinals muna tayo, semifinals.
Mabigat yan.
But magiging contender sila dun sa sa twice to beat, I guess.
Twice to beat. Wow, pwede nga, no? Basta ako, sigurado ako. Ating mga happy. Yung mga abe natin dyan sa Pampanga dahil nakalaro na yung kanilang The Beast. And of course, everybody's happy that Calvin is playing. And lipat tayo sa mga ibang squads. Of course, Alaska getting snapped yung kanilang winning streak. Ang ganda ng itinatakbo nila. A very young squad, of course. Get well soon, Kevin Racal. Nakita natin that these guys are for real. MJI and all the crew. Barkley Ebonia stepping up, best player of the game yung isang araw. Ang ganda na yung tinatakbo ng kanilang koponan. Coaches, what do you think about this turnover of players pagdating sa Alaska Milk?
For Alaska, I think their young ones are really playing well. Okay, as you mentioned, si Barkley comes as a surprise. Kasi I think he wasn't as good when he was in FEU. So I think a lot of the credit also goes to the coaching staff, maybe including si Danny I because he's the big man coach. So you see, their bigs talagang iba yung galaw, even si Abu. May mga spin na nalalaman ngayon yung mga mga bigs ng Alaska. So they're really playing well. Oo actually, a lot of players have been doing really well. Siguro, going back to Phoenix lang, I'm really impressed with Justin Chua also.
Always stable.
Grabe si Just. The shooting has been consistent sa 3. Talagang babantayan mo na. he's not the most athletic player, pero he's a very smart player, very cerebral player. Tsaka ang ganda ng range niya. He has a very soft touch for a lefty, for a big man, and he's really making strides, and he's one of the reasons why Phoenix is also doing well right now. So just keep it up, keep it up.
Tingin ko yung Ebon niya nabigyan ng kumpiyansa kasi bata rin ng isang Pilares, balita ko. Alaga din eh. Kaya kumpiyansa eh. Di ba? Yung Ayay. Nagkataon. And of course, Coach Jeff Carriazo be doing a yeoman's job with Alaska. Coach Allen, ang Blackwater naman, medyo pumipiyok-piyok ngayon. They've experienced a few hiccups on their campaign. Coach Josh Rosella trying to rekindle that magic that gave them 2 wins early. Ano tingin mong next adjustments sila dito? Of course, they're running the triple drive offense ng Troliano. Maganda ang inilalaro. Mac Bello, always consistent. KG Canaleta, Coach Allen. High school pa tayo, kumakamada na yan. Ang ganda ng inilalaro ngayon. Ano tingin mo? Sila ni Rinel Hugnatan, yung mga veterano talaga na consistent pa rin hanggang ngayon.
Well, for me, you know what? Offensively, wala naman akong masasabi sa tinatakbo ng Blackwater. I guess kailangan nila mas mag-focus sa rebounds, defensive rebounds, and yung half-court defense nila. And lastly, transition. Napapansin ko kasi once they missed, kung gusto nilang tumakbo yung Blackwater, ganun din. Mas gusto rin silang takbuhan. So, nakikita ko parang nauubos, parang na-outrun sila, na-out-hustle sila. So, yun yung mga small things na I guess kailangan lang naman natin dyan mag-effort eh. Lahat naman yan pagod eh. Di ba? It's all about willingness, di ba? To finish the game. Yun lang naman yung nakikita ko. Onting tuning lang yan.
Yeah.
And speaking about shooting, Coach JM, puntahan natin rain or shine. Big Bo Belga, double-double. Pero biggest revelation, Ray ng Batak, pang crucial, agad na ng inilalaro dito sa ating PBA bubble.
Of course. Well, si Ray shot that crucial 3 to tie the game and send the game into overtime. And si Big Bo Belga did the rest. Very impressive team. It's a complete team. They're getting the most out of their young players also, including Adrian Wong, who was named best player in one of the games. Then the young core of sila Mocon, Ray included, plus the veteran savvy of course, Gabe Norwood and Big Bo Belga and the others. So it's a very exciting team. I think they will go far as well in this tournament.
And going far in the tournament, yan ang goal ng karamihan ng teams. But one of the teams that are a little bit on the downside ng kanilang kampanya ay ang koponan ni Coach Pido Harencio, Northport. Naghahanap pa rin ng go-to guy. Hindi nahihirapan na si Christian Stard Hardinger at si Sean Anthony. Kulang na lang. Pati yung boost, bitbitin nila papunta sa laro. Talagang grabe trumabaho yung dalawa. But they really
Na-injure
need to
pa si
find.
Sean eh. So,
So they need additional firepower, no?
Of course, si Bolek is not playing yet, pero I think they have a really good team once the pieces are all healthy and complete. Maybe not this conference, but maybe in the succeeding conferences.
Naantay pa natin si Sean Maganti pumutok dito sa PBA bubble. Coach Allen, parang kay Hinebra. Yan, meron akong gustong player dito naging kakampi ko rin. Prince Caperal. Ang ganda ng inilalaro. Coach Tim has said this before the season started. Prince Caperal will be a revelation this year. Played behind Greg Slaughter. Greg moved on trying to find his way overseas. But right now, Prince Caperal parang walang nawala sa kanilang opensa.
Well, sinabi mo Prince Caperal, nakasama ko yan sa Phoenix Fuel Masters 2 years ago. You know, nakikita ko sa kanya talagang kailangan lang niya ng break. But you know what? Bago tayo mag-proceed, gusto ko pasalamatan yan. You know, Coach Kirk Collier. Alright. Napakasipag ni Prince Caperal. Araw-araw ko mag-strength and conditioning. And ayan yung kinalabasan na resulta. You know, nakilig lang siya kay Coach Kirk. And at the same time, kung ano yung mga teachings ni Coach Tim, syempre, with the guidance of Coach Kirk Collier, ayan na, very evident.
Oo.
Walang
Alam mo,
kapili. Yung mga shot selection niya, libre. Take the shot, di ba?
Saka sure ball eh.
sure ball.
Exactly.
Alam niyo coaches ako rin nakinig ako kay Coach Kirk Collier. Trinay niyan si Sam Equis, si Dave Marcelo. Araw-araw. Nandun ako sa Pioneer. Wala na akong pangkain. Nandun pa rin ako. Strength and
Sure ball
conditioning
na rin.
coach na ako ngayon. Strength and conditioning coach na ako ngayon. Strength and conditioning coach ako. And then ito, the last thing that we can handle on our, the other teams are doing well, doing the best that they can during this pandemic. The last team that I want to touch is the San Miguel Beermen. Of course, ang San Miguel, they are right now, wala ang I could say this is the guy na pinaka-exciting panoorin in the PBA was Terence Romeo. Of course, larong Pilipino yan eh. Terence, Calvin, Stard Hardinger. Yan tatlong yan ang larong Pilipino talaga eh. Buhos, talagang bigay todo maglaro. And Terence Romeo had a dislocated shoulder, I think 2 weeks back, and opted out of the bubble. How could this affect the future of the San Miguel Beermen? Dahil ito yung dalawang key piece nila eh. Terence Romeo and itong si Junmar Fajardo who are both on the men. Coach Allen, unahin na kita. Paano ito makaka-apekto sa mga gagawin ni Coach Leo Austria?
Well, Coach Hammer, ang laking bagay na nawala si Terence kasi he's contributing 15 to 20 points a game. So, ganun na wala yung opensa ng San Miguel Beer. But I think mag-a-adjust pa rin naman si Coach Leo diyan, especially yung mga players. They know what to do. Matagal na sila diyan. Ang dami na nilang championship na napagdaanan, ang dami ng crucial moments na napagdaanan. Let's wait and see pagdating ng playoffs. Sanay naman yung San Miguel diyan eh, di ba? Minsan twice to beat yung nakakalaban nila na titisod pa nila.
Agree.
Coach JM, ano tingin mo?
Yeah, number one, syempre, sanay na sila nawalan Junmar, pero at the start of the restart, biglang nawala si Terence. So they started poorly, but they have been winning already. Diba? They're in the middle of a pack with a 3-2 record. They're currently playing Meralco. So if they win, they're right there in the top 4. And the other players are stepping up. Diba? Sila Zamar, sila Pesumal. And they have a champion coach in Coach Leo. So it's just adjusting. They have veteran pieces. Arwin had a good game the other night. He was best player. Sanayan lang eh. Siyempre, nabigla kayo. Walang Junmar noong una. Bigla na walang Terence. Diba? Pero you have the pieces. You have a great coaching staff. It's a great organization. So I think they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Not as seeded as compared if they have Junmar. Pero I think lalaban pa rin ang San Miguel.
Of course, laban yan, syempre. At marami naman silang mga mahuhugot off the bench na nag-aantay lang din ng pagkakataon para makangat. Nabanggit nga natin, Paul Zamar playing really well nitong bubble nung nabigyan ng mga minuto. Von Pesumal, we've known Von. I've known Von since they were with the Nokia Team Pilipinas with Coach Eric Altamirano. I have seen these guys grow and it's amazing to see them playing really well. Another dark horse, Meralco, of course. Too much for the PBA, of course. We bid everyone to be safe there in the PBA bubble sa Pampanga. Keep your masks on, keep your face shields on. We need you guys to excel right now because tulong-tulong tayo, the Chooks to Go bubble and the PBA bubble. Ito yung magiging basis sa pag-proceed ng sports dito sa Pilipinas. Dahil tayo yung models ngayon, so we need to really be adamant on helping each other and moving forward with sports. Speaking of pro sports, kakabig na ako dito sa liga ng bawat Pilipino. Ang Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League, ang PVL at PSL, in-announce na ng Games and Amusement Board that they would be considered as a pro league. Okay? Dahil dati amateur league kino-consider ang MPBL and these leagues. Dahil ngayon, they are on the category that you are playing for pay. So how will this affect the influx of players? Dahil alam natin, ang MPBL, dito na rin naglalaro ang mga ibang collegiate players. So how will this affect the competition for one, and number two, the recruitment of players?
Ako, it works both ways eh. like you said, since some college players play in the MPBL, since it's a pro league already, they will think twice now. Kasi if they play there, they might not be able to play anymore in college. So that's one thing. Another thing, since it's a pro league and people get paid to play, of course it will also attract a lot of hopefuls. So it works both ways for the league. But I agree, since you're being paid to play, might as well diba, become a pro league.
O Coach Allen, ikaw parte ka rin ng MPBL family, of course, with the Bulacan Kuyas. Anong take mo dito? Dahil pro league na ang MPBL.
Inisip ko nito, Coach Martin, in terms of yung players, to be honest, nakita ko kasi dito, yung time na amateur pa, yung MPBL, majority of the teams, merong amateur players or college players. So that's the challenge, and at the same time, hindi lang basta-basta college players. We're talking about quality college players. So there's a big challenge kung papaano ngayon sila kukuha ng players, and siguro in a positive note, mas mabibigyan din ng chance yung mga homegrown from different provinces, So maganda na rin yan in a way kasi hindi ko naman tinitignan ang competition yung PBA and MPBL but syempre 12 teams lang, tandaan natin 12 teams lang sa PBA. Sa MPBL we have 32 teams. So at the same time, yung career na gusto nilang ma-prolong somehow, 'di ba? When they're playing, kung di man sila successfully sa PBA, eto, baka pwede silang maging, successful sa MPBL somehow, kahit ilang years man lang.
Definitely, that's something that we're looking forward to. So, ang Chuksugo Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League Lakan season is on hold. Of course, Game 5 will be coming up and we're hoping that they can do a bubble to finish off the championship. Of course, on the north side, it's Makati, katapat ang San Juan. And on the South Division, it's the Davao Occidental Tigers going up against the Basilan Steel. Talagang ang ganda ng pagkakataon na to, and we're hoping that, of course, Senator Manny Pacquiao, Commissioner Kenneth Duremdes, Assistant Commissioner Satar Macantal, Coach Zal Direlubit, Emer Oreta, and all the team owners would be in consolidation on having a answer to this, since it's a pro league right now, and we're praying that all of you guys would be able to continue the season and move forward from that. And talking about pro, i-congratulate na rin natin ang NBL for having a successful bubble. Of course, La Union, nakatapat ang Pampanga. I think Pampanga closed out that series yesterday, or is it today? Di ko lang sigurado. Dahil the last time I checked, it was 2-1. Natapos na ngayon, Coach Allen.
Yes.
Ang NBL, congratulations sa lahat ng mga kaibigan natin from the NBL. We are really happy that you are focusing on the homegrown talents. Ang Pampanga, napakalakas. Nakita natin yung kanilang mga player, Mike Wico, nandiyan Levy Hernandez. So our congratulations to you guys, and we're praying for Commissioner Bujoy and the Women's National Basketball League for your combine na paparating. I am very, very hopeful that this would be a success. My prayers are with you, and a lot of my players will be taking part in that. Coaches, pare-parehas tayong mga coaches ng college and high school sports. Ito, hot topic ngayon. For the UAAP and NCAA schools, the CHED released some pointers and some guidelines for their bubble. Coaches, big question sa inyo. Kung kayo magulang ng player, pababayaan nyo ba mag-training ang anak nyo ngayong pandemya? Unahin na kita, Coach Ali.
Pero as a I'll still have my son.
Medyo nagbabuffering tayo. Of course, we got to work with what we have, the tech. Coach JM, sorry. May you
Go ahead, Coach.
state your case. You go ahead, Coach JM, because you're also an educator. Educate us on how you would handle the situation.
Well, kasi I think one of the guidelines, they're not required to have the testing, correct? So ako, let's say, if the school has a budget, or as a parent, I'll still have my athletes take the swab testing and the regular testing protocols, even if it's not required, because we're dealing with a pandemic, di ba? We're dealing with a pandemic, hindi siya biro. So I still would want all my athletes, or my son for that matter as a parent, to be protected and to go through the proper protocols before engaging in the sport.
O, Coach Allen, tayo, parehas babae anak natin. Women's basketball, bubble. Ano tingin mo? Will it be a smart thing to do right now for college programs to proceed with the NCAA and the UAAP season early 2021? Or mas okay ba na mag-antay na lang muna tayo ng vaccine? Mag-antay muna tayo ng mga tamang kailangan na protocols?
For me, sa akin, we have to proceed. No matter what. Kasi imagine, you know what, Coach? Ano to alam ko safety yung naka salalay, But next question is, what if for the next 2 to 5 years wala talagang vaccine? Magpapatalo na lang ba tayo dito sa pandemic na to? Ihinto na ba yung mundo natin? Again, I mean, sa akin, let's just go for the safety protocols. And at the same time, ako lumalabas ako, pero nakikita ko naman yung mga tao, they are aware. Diba? Kung paano nila dadalhin yung sarili nila. They wear face mask, they wear face shield. So, nagkakaroon naman ng proper social distancing. Sa akin, I want to proceed. I want to proceed. Kasi, again, kung hindi tayo magpo-proceed, same thing din yan, parang ekonomiya rin. Babagsak din yung ekonomiya ng basketball dito sa Pilipinas.
True. And with
damay-damay
that,
na. From college
damay-damay,
to
tama ka dyan.
elementary.
So, with that being said, damay-damay na. Ako, I've seen how a bubble works, and I can't thank Boss Ronald, Sir Hans, and Boss Ernest to be part of a bubble like this. Ako, ang ganda nung naging experience ko. We are housed properly. The players are housed properly. We kept Games and Amusement Board special representative here to really be part of the equation on how we can keep it safe, how we can keep it at a very paano ko ba ito sasabihin? Na maayos at sumusunod kami doon sa mga rules. We have boundaries that we can cross. Nandun lang kami sa laruan, sa weights room, and then sa room. We are fed really well, and it's not cheap. Hindi po mura magkaroon ng bubble. So ito yung nagiging equation talaga for all the coaches who want to get into the bubble, train in a bubble. It's no joke. If you're handling 20 kids, you would be feeding them on an optimum level 3 to 5 times a day. You have the training, you have the supplements, you need to find them ways to sleep, and you really need to partner up with facilities that can provide that experience. And ako, I'm not an employee. I could vouch for it. I just enjoy the facilities here in Inspire Sports sa Calamba, Laguna. I am not paid to endorse it. I'm not even an employee, but this is the perfect spot to really have that bubble, to really have that experience of training and being in a secure place and a comfortable place for your players. Hindi ko na sisigundahan si Coach JM dahil nakangiti na. And yan na po ang aming cue for our halftime muna tayo. We get some of our friends involved in the segments. And sa aming pagbabalik, we would be having a very good friend of ours, mentor ni Coach JM. Ako pwede kong tawaging lolo ko na kasi mga coaches niya yung naging coaches ko, and a very good friend of Coach Allen Ricardo. We will be back with our guests. So naman po kayo, ito ang inyong God Skills Weekly.
Kick.
to a world where big data beats your worries. A world that gives you priority when innovations come. This is the GigaLife on Smart Signature. Simplified by the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. The choice is simple. Move up to Smart Signature and make your mark. How do I know it's meant to be? Simple, smart ako.
Government, huwag masyadong
But I would-
anuhin.
So we're back, of course, again, dito sa inyong Got Skills Weekly. We'd like to thank, of course, our partners. Siyempre, ang Smart Telecommunication. We would like to thank each and every one of you, of course, Boss Epoch and the whole Smart Sports team. Siyempre, dahil simple kami, smart kami. Maraming salamat. And, of course, Milku, the official deodorant of the Got Skills family. Milku. Puma, of course, Coach Allen rocking the Puma hat and the Puma jacket. Thank you very much. Papaalala ko lang po ang paborito kong kulay, pula. Puma, thank you. Spouting the official basketball of the God Skills Basketball League. LGR, our official outfitter when it comes to our league. Clyde, official shoe cleaner of all our players. Of course, they got our goodie bags. Coach Allen, maraming salamat. Malinis lahat ng sapatos ko na dinala dito sa Kalamba. Baon ko pa yung isang bag. At, syempre, Vitamin Boost and Light Water, maraming salamat. I love the strawberry kiwi that Coach Allen let me try. Maraming salamat po for that. And we'd like to thank everyone who has been supporting our streams. This is the second one. Please do share it on your pages for all of you guys who are watching on delay. Magandang umaga, magandang gabi, magandang hapon, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Of course, Coach Martin Antonio, Coach Allen Ricardo, Coach JM Pelares on deck right now. And we have a very special guest, a guy that needs no introduction to the coaches. Of course, one of the winningest coaches, assistant coaches, won a championship in college, went to the pros, and really a very good guy to talk shop with right now, being a public servant and doing a hell of a job in their city. Walang iba kundi si Coach Binky Favis, won numerous championships, and we would want to pick his brain about the national team. Coach Binky, welcome to your God Skills Weekly. Nagkita ulit tayo. Nung huli tayo nag-usap, 2 oras. Dito, orasan na kita. Meron kang shot clock. Magandang gabi, Coach Binky.
Hey, nice to see all of you. Coach Martin, Coach Allen. Uy, Coach JM.
Hi, Coach
Good
Binky.
evening, Coach Binks.
Good evening, Coach
Boy, it's
Binky.
been a while, Coach JM, and good evening to everyone, sa lahat ng mga listeners natin dito. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me again.
Yan, maraming salamat din po, Coach Binky. Sinasabi ko nga sa mga manonood natin, si Coach Binky, hindi ko pwedeng tawaging lolo. Manong ko na lang, Manong, dahil he mentored Coach Nash. I am really proud to be one of the players that got disciplined by Coach Nash, and sabi ko nga, Coach Allen, strength and conditioning coach ako dahil nakinig ako kay Coach Nash at kay Coach Kirk. Yan na lang natin iiwan that di rin ako makashoot. Balik na natin sa ating discussion. Coach Binky, you have been part of the national team. You have been one of the best deputies that we had. You lived in the trenches, so to speak. Your experiences in the national team, the heartbreaks that you encountered, eto na naman tayo, Olympic qualifying tournament, makakaharap natin. Unang-una, meron tayong tatluhan na. Ito, larong buko, larong Pilipino. May tatluhan na. Chooks to Go Pilipinas is backing up our national team made up of Troy Reich, Joshua Munzon, Alvin Pasaol, and Santi Santillan. Sa 5-on-5 naman, yung mga bagito natin, yung mga tabinats natin, yung Gilas Cadets, sila yung papadala. Coach Binky, sa experiences niyo po with all the national teams that you serve, what's the key ingredient that we really need to be competitive at an international level?
Well, thank you for that introduction, Martin. Well, it's been a while. The last time I coached the national team was, 95? Was it 95 pa ata yung, no, sorry, 2005. 2005 was my, I think was my last coaching stint. It's been a while. But definitely, the most important thing in forming the national team is is the players that will that you have to pick. Especially now that it's a very tricky endeavor. It's a very tricky task to choose only 12 out of so many talented players. Ang dami-daming magagaling na players ngayon, ang dami-daming mga talented players ngayon. But you have to choose the best 12. And it's very important to understand that in choosing the best 12, you don't choose the best 12 players. Hindi pwedeng piliin mo yung 12 pinakamagagaling na players, yung 12 pinakamagagaling na scorers, hindi rin yung 12 pinakamagagaling na defenders. You have to choose the best team composed of those 12 players that will make it up. In saying that, kinakailangan na malaman mo kung ano. Definitely ang national team has already evolved into a shooting game. Definitely, whether it's a shooting game or not, for the Philippines, it has to be a shooting game. Kasi hindi natin kayang i-outsize yung mga kalaban natin. Hindi rin naman natin kayang i-outquick yung mga kalaban natin. If we need to compete, we have to be able to make our shots outside. And we have to stretch the court. Ika nga, kailangan ma-expand natin yung court. We cannot afford to just shoot outside. We have to shoot a little more outside than usual. Dapat medyo ma-expand natin yung range natin. And in doing that, of course, you have to consider that you also have to defend. Kinakailangan na makadepensa ka. So now, you have to choose good players who will be willing to defend. Yun ang problema kasi usually, pagka namimili tayo ng national team natin, ang pinagpipilian na natin mga professional basketball players. Not to say that that professional basketball players does not defend. Definitely, they do. But they play a 48-minute game where you could afford to let go of some possessions. Sa professional basketball game, pwedeng sige muna, first few minutes, painit muna, ika nga. Ang international game, kinakailangan every possession counts. Malingat ka lang, lamang na ng 8 yung kalaban mo. Pag lamang ka naman, malingat ka lang, yung lamang mo, nahabol na. So what am I trying to say? Kinakailangan, meron kang 12 player na pwede mong paghati-hatian ng mga minutes na lalaruin mo. Not to say that you have to divide time equally, but you have to make sure that every time you have a 5 inside, kinakailangan na balansyado. Hindi kagaya sa pro ko minsan, you start with your best 5 and then usually on the 8th minute, maglalagay ka ng mga relievers mo hoping that they could just play along the next 6 minutes tapos ibabalik mo na naman yung first 5 mo. It cannot be that way in the international game. Another thing that you have to consider is you have to choose players who are in shape. Because remember, the international competition is an entirely different tournament. It's an entirely different game. It's an entirely different beast. Remember, you have to play like 9 games in 10 days. Bihira yung napaka-bihira na makahanap ka ng player na makaka-grind ng regular playing time nila na 40 minutes, 45 minutes every game for 9 games out of 10. So again, importante na makakuha ka ng mga players mo who will play very quality minutes, who will not waste any possession, any situation, and then again, they also have to be in shape. I remember when we coached the national team, I remember the great coach Ron Jacobs. When we were forming the national team, the first thing we did was meet with the applicants, was meet with the aspirants. And then we gave them questionnaires. And question number 1 in that questionnaire is whether the players believe that they can win or not. So that's another very important criterion. Kinakailangan ng player mo naniniwala na kayang manalo. Kung hindi siya naniniwala na may pag-asa ang Pilipinas, huwag ka na sumali. Walang personalan. Kinakailangan lahat ng i-field mo na players dyan naniniwala na kayang manalo. Ang pangalawa sa questionnaire is not just believing that you can win. Are you willing to put in the work to win? And third, and very importantly, are you willing to play the role para makatulong ka sa pagpapanalo ng team? Kasi definitely, ang mga magiging player mo rito, puro star player yan ng kanilang mga teams where they could shoot anytime they want, where more often than not, they could tell the coach the kind of play, the kind of offense set that they want. They could ask their players to sub them out. Dito sa international game, you could play 20 minutes. You could only play 5 minutes, but the 5 minutes that you have to play should be 5 minutes of quality
Pukpok
time. And
talaga,
sometimes,
coach.
pukpok talaga. And it's very difficult for a 35, 40-minute player to play 5 minutes. So these are the
Mamimedya-medya, no, coach? Mag-iiba yung tema ng laro niya, eh.
Medyo mag-iiba. Kaya yan ang kailangan sa mga selection process. That's why that was the first thing I said. In choosing the best team, you don't necessarily choose the 12 best players because you need a starting group, you need a relief group, and you need bench players who, when tapped for situations, will play their heart out for the 30 seconds that you will give them.
Yun yung kagandahan, coach, ng Northern Consolidated program dati. Kasi yung mga best amateurs, hindi nagmamadali umakyat ng pro. Nakatenga sila doon para sa national team. Coach JM, do you have any questions para kay Coach Binky regarding, let's focus on this national team program dahil right now we have Coach Tom Baldwin at the helm with the SBP, really focusing on building a perennial contender not only in Southeast Asia but in a world scale. And the 3x3, the 5-on-5 team right now, ano ba yung mga tingin mo? Coach Jem, ikaw naman ang magtanong para kay Coach Binky.
Well, I agree naman with Coach, no. I think the coaches now have the same thought process in selecting the national team. Siguro, Coach, going back to the 2002 national team wherein you were an assistant coach and you experienced firsthand the game that we lost against Korea, the missed free throws. There's a famous picture na all the players were on the floor and you were, I think, consoling one of them. So on that international stage na ginto na, naging bato pa, and to experience it firsthand, how did it feel and how did you console the team after, the players after?
Well, to start with, Coach JM, that picture you saw was the other one. Because the other photo was me lying flat on the ground, face down, crying. And oh boy, I never cried like that in my whole life. Doon lang ata ako napaiyak ng ganon kasi grabe ang tinrabaho natin, grabe ang tinrabaho ng buong team. Correct. Grabe yung sacrifice na binigay ng lahat ng mga players at that time. I really believe that that team was made up of not just the best players that we had, but the most selfless. Kasi alam naman natin na walang sweldo. Correct. Walang sweldo ang mga players noon, walang sweldo ang mga coaches. But we would practice with for the most part, we would practice with our teams, and then minsan sa gabi we would practice with the national team. Except of course nung malapit na. But oh boy, that shot, talagang napaiyak ako ng todo-todo kasi ako rin personally, I went around the world para akong OFW that year. I went to Malaysia, I went to Japan, Korea, I went to the Middle East, the UAE, I went to the US, to scout Lebanon and China, I went to Taiwan. Halos nilibot ko yung buong mundo noon na just trying to make sure that we prepare our wards the best way we can. And at the end of the day, I felt that it was already a won game.
Yes.
Lamang tayo ng 4 points coming down, and then of course it always pains me to mention, but it always calls for mentioning yung free throws ni Olsen. We were up 4 with Olsen, the best PBA, the best free throw shooter in the PBA at that time.
Yes.
Nasa statistics yun, oo. Two shots on the line and he missed both. And I remember that last possession. Kaya talagang nalungkot ako doon because we were up
By 2.
and we were up by 2 and Korea called for a timeout.
Okay.
And I remember very well, during that timeout, I talked to Coach Jong with Chico. Oo, sinabi ko sa kanya, Coach Jong, akin na yung board because I know exactly what this coach is going
Scouting.
to do.
Correct.
Oo. So, well, to Coach Jong's credit, he gave me that opportunity. And I went through the play that I felt this coach was going to run because I scouted him intensively. And so we were ready. And true enough, they ran exactly that play. We were able to force them to we were able to force them to get out of their play. We were able to force them to almost turn the ball over.
Yes.
Nag-fumble na sila, napigil na sila, gumulong na yung bola. Kaya lang nakuha ni Lee Sang-min, and then nagkaroon siya ng time mag-shot fake, and then he made that basket. Lee Sang-min, by the way, was in my scouting report for having this uncanny ability of coming out of nowhere, picking up a loose ball, and shooting the big winner.
Sakto.
Yun, exacto. And you know, up to this day, I remember that experience very vividly. It was like a movie. Pag-release ni Lee Sang-min na ganun, libreng-libre na ko, patay, Lee Sang-min. Pag-release niya, my first instance was to look at the clock. Nakita ko yung clock, may oras pa talaga. Kaya lang pagpasok sa net ng bola, nag-zero na. So I knew very well that shot was counted. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad about that shot. But it took me a while. It took me a few days, several weeks to get off that feeling, to get over that experience. But at the end of the day, I felt it was already our friend upstairs who decided that game.
Mm-hmm. Totoo yan.
I felt when I was asked later on, I felt that it was like God showing us that you could compete. Yes, you could, because eventually Korea won the whole thing, if you remember.
Yes.
So I felt that was the lesson that we learned. For sure, you have what it takes. For sure, you could compete.
Yeah.
For sure, your players will be, you could choose good players who will be willing to fight their hearts out. But then again, it can be a seasonal thing. Hindi pwedeng seasonal ang national team training. You have to have a good program. You have to have all sectors of the game working together. And that's why international basketball these days for the Philippines is very encouraging. Kaya ang international team natin ngayon, medyo kumpiyansa ako na one of these years, one of these tournaments, malapit na. Makukuha rin natin, mananalo natin yan. Kasi ngayon, siniseryoso na natin yung program, hindi na seasonal.
At dahil sineseryoso natin yung program, Coach, ito, tulad sa kahit na anong laro ng basketball, laging may rebounds eh. Ito, 3x3. Bagong timpla, bagong flavor ng basketball. Pabor para sa ating mga Pilipino. Coach, intergulpihan to eh. Parang tatluhan sa kalye, pastahan, sunugan bahay. Ganun yung laro. Ganun yung tema ng laro. And we have a program right now that is backed by SPP, that is also backed by Justo, na meron tayong 4 na player na nakakommit talaga. Alvin Pasaol, Leonard Santillan, Troy Reich, and Joshua Munzon. Ito yung core ng national team natin na magkakasama na sila ng prolonged period of time. May liga sila, nag-accumulate ng points. It be an opportunity for us sa tatluhan. Dahil ang mga Pilipino, kahit sa ang court, may tatluhan, lupa, semento, spalto, laging may court tayong pantatluhan. Ito ba, meron tayong chance dito na papunta sa world stage?
Well, just like the other games, just like the full court games, the 5-on-5 games, definitely we always have a shot. Pero ganun din, napakahirap talaga. Butas ng karayom talaga ang lulusutin natin. Because the thing with 3-on-3 is lalong nagkakaroon ng advantage yung mga malalaking players. Kasi walang transition game diyan eh. Walang fast break diyan eh. parang mas maliit yung court at wala ka talagang chance talaga diyan kung hindi makipagbakbakan. Hindi kagaya nung regular basketball, baka 12 points ka man lang sa fast break. Baka
May tulog.
makakuha ka ng konting scoring of your press, of your scrambling game. Dito sa 3-on-3 walang ganong factor. Although tama ka, Coach Martin. I don't know if definitely the Philippines does not have the most basketball courts. But I would like to see statistics. Palagay ko ang Pilipinas ang pinakamaraming half court.
Half court, coach. Coach, sa
Kasi dito sa
Paranaque.
Pilipinas,
Sa
dito ka lang
Paranaque.
sa pag-iikot mo, may poste ng Meralco, merong basketball court. Sa probinsya, may poste ng Buko, may basketball court. Kahit sa probinsya. Nung maliit ako,
Doon
yung
ka nga
kwarto namin,
maasa eh. Yung
Yes,
may
po.
buko,
talaga.
yung may
Nung maliit
buko,
ako,
baka
yung
malaglagan
kurtinahan
ka eh.
namin.
Baka
Correct,
malaglagan
pero
ka
yan-
ng buko pag lilayap ka.
Tama. Tsaka yan ang talagang familiar na basketball talaga sa mga Noipi.
Correct.
Yung bakbakan ng 3-on-3. Yung pustahan, yelo. Pero magpapatayan sa pustahang yelo. O kaya yung lusot lamang. Yung
Yun na nga,
magkakabarkada,
yung lusot
nag-aaway,
pa yun.
nagsusuntukan. Oo, kasi talagang very familiar talaga ang Noipi sa 3-on-3.
Tama.
Kaya dito sa amin, natutuwa ako kasi pag nag-iikot ako, every chance I get, titigil ako sa kandali, makikipaglaro ako doon sa mga ano. O kaya panonoorin ko yung mga bata, nagpapatayan sila doon sa mga basket na nakasabit sa poste ng Meralco,
Mhm.
sa puno, that's very familiar tayo sa 3-on-3 game.
Ang
Alam mo,
galing
Coach
ni
Binky,
Coach
Coach
Binky.
JM, alam nyo, coaches, ako umiiwas na ako dun sa mga kasing edad ni Coach Binky pag naglalaro. Kasi magsisimula kami maglaro alas 6 ng umaga. Nakakauwi ako alas 12 na ng tanghali. Ang laro namin, isang laro lang, mas mahaba pa yung kwentuhan. Ang sarap ng kwentuhan pag yung mga nagpapabili ng almusal yung mga veterano, tapos nakikita yung mga
Yeah.
bata naglalaro. Nagiging pamilya kasi, yun yung kagandahan ng 3x3 basketball dito sa ating bansa. Coach Allen, ano bang mga tanong mo kay Coach Binky?
Coach Binky. Yeah, Coach.
Yes, Coach Allen.
Yeah, gusto ko lang tanong sa'yo in terms of, on the technical side. Way back, yung kayo, nila Coach Jong, nila,
Way back na.
Grabe ka naman way back.
malapit na Coach, magdadalawang dekada na.
A few years ago lang, pare.
Si Coach Binky, nung nagko-coach pa, estudyante pa yan. Papaalala ko lang sa'yo. Estudyante pa
maaga
yan,
nag-coach
assistant
yan.
coach. Maaga nag-coach yan.
I
Siguraduhin
started
mo,
at a very
natin
early age.
Baka hindi tayo maipuntahan ng sa Paranaque pag nag-got skills tayo dun.
Welcome kayo. Punta kayo rito. Punta kayo rito.
Repa, balatan mo.
Well, anyway, Coach, I'm just just want to know kung on your thoughts yung on the technical side in terms of yung offensive scheme. Kasi ganyan tayo mga kritiko eh. Wala namang kritiko na nagkakamali. Coach.
Mhm.
Ayan, narinig mo ako, Coach? Clear back clear?
Yes, oh.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yun nga, sinasabi ko nga, wala ngang kritiko na nagkakamali. So, ang concern ko lang in terms of our offensive scheme, your offensive scheme, yung national kayo, and then right now with the coach Tab Baldwin and the company, anong tingin mo? Anong tingin mo yung differences?
Well, as you said, when I was coaching way back. Pero tama, the last time I coached was 2008. And oh boy, that was 12 years ago. And we are 12 and we are 12 years since. But then again, it's always a joy to watch Coach Tab Baldwin's team play. Kasi hindi mo masasabi na iba yung basketball niya ngayon sa basketball dati, the way it should be played.
Mm-mm.
The best thing about the way Ateneo plays and the way the other teams that Coach Tab Baldwin coaches is that they play the game the way it should be played. At kung ang pag-uusapan natin yung opensa, basketball is a 5 versus 5 game. At I believe in sharing the ball. I believe in moving the ball. I believe in finding not the first available shot, but the best shot available. And usually the best shot available is not the first available shot. It's not the first open shot. Kaya nakikita mo, minsan libre na, pinapasa pa. Minsan sinasabi, bakit pinasa pa? Yung best shooter mo, nakaupo na na-sack mo na yung depensa sa loob Kaya yung layup mo, i-give up mo para ibigay dun sa, yung layup mo na kinakailangan ilag-ilag mo, na yung percentage mo, bumababa na, ibigay mo na lang dun sa best shooter mo na nakaupo. I believe that that's the way basketball should be played. But it's really tough to coach the game that way, especially with what we watch on TV, especially with the kind of players that are superstars. Yung mga Michael Jordan, yung mga Kobe Bryant, yung mga James Harden, etc., etc. Ito yung mga one-on-one players na ganyan. Pero mapapansin pa rin natin na yung nananalo ay yung nagpapasaan So what kind of offensive scheme do we need, especially for us, that again, we cannot outsize our opponents, we cannot outrun our opponents. Doesn't also, definitely we cannot outskill our opponents as well. Ang chance lang natin is maybe we could out-team our opponents. And out-teaming our opponents is really playing the game the way it should be played. Sharing the ball, screening for each other, driving the basketball, not to create a shot for yourself, but to draw a defender so you could open a teammate, and then you shot fake, not just because you want to take a shot, but to draw another player in so you open up a better you open another teammate for a better shot. That's the game. That's the way this game should be played. The problem with that kind of game is there's no statistic for a player driving in and how many players he draws in on defense. Wala namang, meron ba, ewan ko, nung panahon ko, walang statistic na gano'n. Ngayon ba meron?
Ang dami na
Ilan yung na-draw mo?
Dami na
o meron bang gano'n, na pagka umatake ka, may na-draw ka? Sinachart ba ng mga coaches yun? Ilan yung na-draw mo?
Sinachart na yung mga advanced stats
Ilan yung mga na-screenan mo? Ilan yung mga natiki-taki mo? Etc. On defense, ilan yung mga na-deflect mo? Ilan yung mga na-contain mo? You know, those little things does not really add up to an MVP. But then again, those little things are what really makes championships.
Tama.
And again, going back to the way Coach Tab Baldwin and some very good coaches called the game, it's very enjoyable to watch.
And enjoyment is something that we really have right now because coaches are getting informed, and winning always is enjoyable for everyone. And of course, I think that's all the time that we have with Coach Binky. Coach Binky, ako gusto ko na mas mahaba pa kwento. Oh, may isa pang question si Coach Jem. Coach Jem, sige,
I just want to ask Coach Binky, now that Coach Binky has been out of coaching for the last 12 years and is a public servant, meron pa bang itch to coach in the future, Coach Binks, or talagang wala na? Kasi I think you're one of the more cerebral coaches. I learned my scouting techniques from Coach Eric Gonzalez, Coach Nash, who have been apostles of Coach Binky also. So, ang dami pa rin, I think you can still coach basketball. Meron pa rin bang possibility in the future?
Well, those players, those coaches are very good coaches, by the way. It gives me a lot of pride to be able to be called somebody who was able to give my 5 cents worth sa kanilang coaching development. But if I am going to go back to coaching, I never left coaching. Only I don't coach basketball players anymore. I coach my workers here in the City Hall. I coach my staff. I coach my constituents, because really I never I felt that everything that I am now, everything that I'm doing now is still born out of all the coaching concepts that I learned when I was coaching basketball. Disiplina, responsibility, teamwork, sipag, tiyaga, etc. So to answer your question, I never really stopped coaching. That's really what makes me tick, if I could say so. But coaching the game of basketball, I always believe that I am only a follower of what our Lodi upstairs
Yeah.
makes me what wants me to do. I am I don't know what's around the corner, and I am eagerly waiting.
Ganda.
Course, always eagerly waiting. Coach, ako meron akong tanong. Parting shot. Ito kasi, kaninang umaga ko pa to iniisip eh. Actually, buong linggo. Kayo, coach, parehas yung kinotsan. Pick Asi Taulaba, pick Eric Meng. Bubuo kayo ng team. Sinong kukunin ninyo?
Sorry, pick.
Asi Taulaba, pick Eric Meng. Sinong kukunin nyo? Cornerstone ng franchise. Isa lang.
Pick or Taulava or Menk.
Pick Asi Taulava or pick Eric Meng, Coach Binks.
Sinong kukunin mo sa dalawa?
Asi or Eric?
That's a tough question because when I coach the national team,
Sila dalawa sa Army
they
Selecta, di ba?
blended beautifully together.
Yeah.
And they play different positions. Magkaiba kasi ang pwesto ni Asi tsaka ni Eric. Si Asi is a legit 5 and Eric is a legit 4 who could move to 3 when the need arises. So that's tough. And if it was during the time and I had to choose between the two of them, then I'll probably quit, because definitely those two cards are very integral to those two cards will be very integral to us even having a chance. Without one or the other, pilay.
At yun na nga yung nangyari nung nawala yung Danny Sigel. Medyo napilayan tayo nung na-Achilles tendon tear si Danny SG. That was a very big part of that campaign. It would have been a different story, but of course, dyan tumatalbog ang bola. Coach Binky, parting shot from you. Maraming salamat po sa pagpapaunlak muli sa amin. At sana, Coach, yung mga tatuhan dyan sa Paranaque maging FIBA rules para mas marami tayong mga player na ma-develop pa for 3x3. Coach Binks, parting shot from you.
Well, again, thank you for having me. It's always a joy to be talking to you guys. It's always a joy to share the treasures that I picked up out of this game, and maybe be able to inspire others, especially younger coaches. Maraming salamat. As far as 3-on-3, I've been thinking of running a 3-on-3 tournament here in Paranaque, because again, there are so many opportunities sa 3-on-3 game, and it's nice to be able to share those opportunities to a lot of our constituents. And up to this day, I always thank the Lord for everything that I've learned out of coaching, and you, Coach Martin, Coach Jem, Coach Allen, and all the other coaches who are listening. It's such a wonderful job to be coaching and inspiring. But you just always remember that in coaching, of course, it's important to win games. It's, of course, you're paid to win championships. You are paid to train players to be better. But always remember that you are not only coaches trying to make good players, but more importantly, you are coaches trying to create better persons. And so, again, thank you sa lahat ng mga nakikinig dito, sa lahat ng mga kababayan namin dito sa Paranaque. Salamat sa pakikinig.
And there you have it. Of course, Coach Binky Favis. Gotta let go, Coach Binky. So,
Teka muna.
Anong teka to? Anong teka to?
May pahabol ako,
ano to?
nakikinig ang aming Vice Mayor. Si Vice Mayor Rico Goles, who's also a sportsman like myself. In fact, yan ang aking kapartner palagi pag nanonood kami ng mga national games dito. Vice Mayor,
Coach-
nice that you're around.
Coach Binks, nakilala ko si Vice Mayor when you were in the MPBL. May laro ang Iloilo. Inintroduce ako ni Coach Nash sa inyo and he was also there. And Vice Mayor, maraming salamat po. Our prayers are with you sa lahat ng mga kababayan natin sa Parañaque, sa Las Piñas, kung saan masulok man kayo ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat. And there you have it, Coach Binky Favis. Thank you po, Coach, sa inyong oras. At we gotta let you go dahil si Coach Allen. Coach Allen, ano bang pakulo mo para sa atin? Dahil meron kaya ng giveaways for our viewers.
Thank you, Coach Binky.
Giveaways
Thank you.
from Puma, Philippines. Thank you, Coach Binky.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Coach Allen, meron kang konting announcement. Meron tayong na-draw na winner. Konting sorpresa from Coach Allen Ricardo. Coach Allen, take it away. Ikaw na mag-announce yan.
Yes. So, ang handpicked winner for tonight is si Coach Paulo Racelis. Okay, so Coach Paulo Racelis, I will message you sa Facebook Messenger on how you will claim this cups. You know, isa lang pala. So,
Hala ko lahat eh. Dami eh.
Ang premyo
Marami
natin, ang premyo, Puma Cup.
Puma Cup, you know. Maraming salamat sa Puma Philippines, you know. Talagang ang daming binigay na, you know, to dress me up, and then my guys, you know, si Coach JM, si Coach Martin, and si Aldrin. Maraming salamat, Puma Philippines.
And of course, there you have it. Parting shot, Coach Allen and Coach JM.
Again, thank you. Again, thank you to Coach Binky for being our special host tonight. Actually, may isang ano lang ako, kwento. Kasi Facebook friend ko si Coach Binks. So, nakikita ko, ginagawa niya yung push-up challenge na yan, di ba?
Napapush up ka ba?
Yung push-up challenge, yung 25-day push-up challenge, ginagawa ni Coach Binky. So, nakaka-inspire. Parang everyday, tinitingnan ko. Pero meron lang akong hindi ginagawa. Hindi ko nila-like. Hindi ko nila-like. Dahil natatakot ako, baka pag nilike ko,
Itangga.
Pero ang galing. Until now, very inspiring si Coach Binky. So thank you again for gracing our show tonight.
Of course, Coach Binky. Coach Allen, ikaw, parting shot.
Well, again, Coach Binky, thank you. So, malapit na tayong lilipat na pala ako dyan, ibig ko sabihin.
Magparehistro ka na, Parehistro ka na, Southside din.
So most of the time, you know, we can do, you know, projects dyan sa Parañaque, especially sa basketball. I can help you sa advocacy nyo. So, yung mga sumusubaybay sa atin, maraming salamat, you know. Onting dasal lang, mga fellow coaches and mga players and mga parents. Matatapos din to. We'll see you around next week, Wednesday.
Yes, and on Wednesday, of course, para kay Coach Allen Ricardo, kay Coach JM Pelares. Pasalamat muna tayo, of course, sa samang basketball ng Pilipinas. Of course, also our heartfelt condolences. Isang regional director natin, Coach Allen, who passed away. Sir Rix, we would like to thank you for all the services that you had given us through your service with the SPP. So we're extending our condolences to your family, and all of Cebu is in mourning of your passing, and aming pagdarasal at pagmamahal sa iyong pamilya, and the whole God Skills Pilipinas family is really behind the family, and our condolences are with you. SBP, maraming salamat po. Again, Milku, Puma, Spalding, LGR, Clyde, Vitamin Boost Light Water, and of course, Smart. Dahil simple kami, smart kami. Para kay Coach Allen Ricardo, kay Coach JM Pilares, our guest co-host, kachikahan, Coach Binky Favis. Ako po, si Coach Hammer Martin Antonio. Naghahatid sa inyo ng aking virtual hugs and of course my virtual salute to each and every one of you, to all the frontliners, all of the people fighting. Laban lang tayo. throughout the pandemic. Ito ang inyong Milku Sports Basketball Got Skills Philippines, Got Skills Weekly updates from your basketball family. Stay blessed, stay healthy. Maraming salamat po and see you next week.
kick,
Thank you, coaches!
Okay, thank you, pare.
kick,
Break through a world where big data beats your worries. A world that gives you priority when innovations come. This is the GigaLife on Smart Signature. Simplified by the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. The choice is simple. Move up to Smart Signature and make your mark. How do I know it's meant to be? Simple, smart ako.